Welcome back to The Mouse That Roars, news and commentary at regularguy.com. I am Roger Fredinburg, your host, and I have a very exciting and really cool quick interview today with a gentleman named Mike Schaefer. Mike is the founder of an organization called Biking for Babies. You won't believe it. Mike, hello and welcome.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, Roger.
Give me a sense of who you guys are, how you got started. Give me the story, basically.
When I was the summer going into my sophomore year of college, me and a buddy did our first 100-mile bike ride in one day. And I was telling my friend Jimmy Becker, the co-founder of the bike ride, co-founder of Biking for Babies, about my 100-mile ride that I did, and telling him how it would be cool if someday we did something like 500 miles in 5 days. And he said, well, hey, let's do it for a cause next summer. How about pro-life? And so I was like, hey, that sounds good to me. So me and Jimmy are both endurance athletes, kind of always looking for another new challenge. So, the pro-life cause is just kind of something that tugged at our hearts, I guess, and made us want to pursue that. So that's it in a nutshell.
So is this a fundraising event? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, we consider the mission of the ride kind of twofold. One is, of course, fundraising for this year 8 different pro-life charities in the Midwest. But the other mission of the ride is that it seeks to increase awareness for people to see and understand the damage that abortion has caused and can cause to women and babies and their families. And we feel like, the nature of an endurance event kind of fits nicely within that context. That's the mission.
Well, yeah, there aren't a lot of people out trying to do good for babies these days, unborn babies. Seems like the force is always on the side of killing the baby in the womb rather than saving the baby and giving it a future and a life. How did you come to have that set of values?
Yeah, I think for me and Jimmy both, our stories are fairly similar. We both grew up in Catholic families and small parishes, kind of in the rural Midwest. And, growing up, at least from my side, there wasn't necessarily any explicit pro-life rhetoric, per se, for my parents, but there was definitely an understanding among me and my siblings, too, for that matter, that we were a family that did, fight for the pro-life cause in whatever ways we were called to. I think that just kind of came with just a life within a parish or within a church where families are always trying to help one another and, doing their best to give a good life to their kids. I think it was just a natural consequence of seeing that. Well, of course, why would we want to inhibit that in any way? So, the natural consequence of that whole thing was just simply saying, pro-life.
How are you received out on the road?
Usually it varies between neutral and excitement. Very, very rarely is there any animosity. We do have Biking for Babies on our shirts and painted on our vans. But I think for the most part, people either don't know this, or for the people that do know this, for the most part, get pretty excited. You get some enthusiastic honks. See, there's an enthusiastic honk. You get 2 honks. An angry honk is one long one. So we can just between those.
You've got that figured out. Any road stories from how many years did you say you've been doing this?
This is the 4th year doing the ride.
All right. Any road stories? Any unique stories? Things that have come up? I mean, any sign that you've had some impact?
I think the one I most enjoyed telling was last year when we went from Covington, Louisiana to Champaign, Illinois, 870 miles. And when we were down in Tennessee, we had a few days left, and we had no lodging for the following night. So one of my friends kind of jokingly suggested, well, hey, why don't we do 2 days in one and just take the next day off? So it meant that we were going to have to ride 230 miles in one day.
Oh, God.
So we were all a little hesitant to do that far, because up to that point, the furthest I had gone was 200 on fresh legs. But we always decided, well, let's take advantage of the situation. It's one thing, all of us digging into our pockets and, giving $25, $50. But what if we all try to dig in even deeper in the same way we're going to try digging deeper here? Not just 100 miles biking one day, but 200 plus miles. So we kind of use that to our advantage and kind of encourage people to give even a little more than they had. And it actually worked. There was a huge spike in fundraising because of that ride. So we did successfully finish the 230 miles that day. So.
Right. Well, you'll see like motorcyclists will have events like this.
Right.
Biking for freedom and all that stuff. But bicyclists, it's kind of a little different format for the pro-life movement. But I think it's pretty cool. Now, young people generally seem to be kind of less Christian-oriented today. Generally speaking, the folks I run into, probably not pro-life normally. Is that changing with young folks? I mean, what do you see out there?
I feel like it certainly is. I mean, I think within young people in general, there's always a sense of rebellion per se, whether that rebellion is oriented towards something good or something bad. So I think definitely a lot of young people with twofold. One, they want to just be their own person, but two, they do see the damages that have been caused by just the whole beginning of Roe versus Wade from our parents' generation, and they wanted to stand up and do something they believe in. I remember reading an article actually by or a quote by a woman from Planned Parenthood who was at the March for Life, and she just was completely amazed at how young the people were that were there representing pro-life. So,
wow. Well, that's a great sign. Well, listen, is there anything people need to know? Do you have a website? Is there someplace they can go? How can they help?
Right, yeah. Bikingforbabies.com is our website.